My name's Dr. Alexander. I work at Hamachi Labs. And as the introduction said, I came over in order to work at Hamachi Labs because, in my view, having worked with some of the top research and development organizations in the world, the work that happens at Amrita and at places like Ammachi Labs works at a very specific cutting edge, which is as effective or more effective for driving innovation than anything in the West. There's a little known polar opposite to the sort of Silicon Valley, West Coast America curve of innovation. And I used to work with Microsoft Research, with Ford Advanced Research, with different user experience groups particularly, on some really fun projects like HoloLens, these augmented reality glasses, like the connected car, where you control your car with voice and touch and speech and gesture. These are really great. I worked on other projects at Microsoft, which were less glamorous, but also I learned a lot from. But some of them, you'd have to say, over the course of my career, were more like comfort tech. Technology to make comfortable people more comfortable. After a while, it's easy to burn out on this kind of thing. So when I had the opportunity to work and serve at Ammachi Labs, for me it was an absolute godsend. Because as I hope to show you a little bit about the work there in this talk, it combines both a very grounded, practical sense of social development with cutting-edge technology. Now, there's a particular... There's a particular point I'm going to be hitting on a lot. Super. Thank you. And we're going to get to that, which is really around women's empowerment. It may seem strange that some Western guy is standing on stage to encourage you to think about women's empowerment in India, but life is full of ironies, and that's part of its beauty. Okay, so I'm part of Ammachi Labs. As we mentioned, this is a resource here at Amrita, but at the Amritapuri campus, and please come visit us. Set us up some time when you're down that area. Come see the work. There's MTech and PhD programs there, and some of you may well be qualified and interested in doing it. It's a multidisciplinary lab, and multidisciplinary is particularly important in India, which tends to be quite siloed in how it views education. The most interesting project by far happened when different skill sets are brought together in a studio type of environment, and that's some of the strength at Ammachi Labs. But by far the most important piece is that it goes the last mile. Technology itself is just an amplifier. If you add it to a business or a social situation, it accelerates the situation. What is efficient and what works gets more efficient. What is broken or inefficient gets more broken. Now, when we're talking about working at and below the poverty line, most of the social situations there are broken. Simply adding technology does not help. It can make things worse. It is very important that we go the last mile and get a sensitive, grounded understanding of how the technology needs to be added, say, to the rural situation. Beware, because you guys are in a particularly dangerous position. You are very good at technology. You know a lot about it, and it is very easy to become enamored with the whole mystique of technology and think, we'll dream up an amazing device, a sensor, a software, this, that, or the other, and somehow that will cure the problems. That won't cure the problems in and of itself. It may sound obvious to say that, but believe me, having worked with tech groups around the world, it is very easy for us to be in our own bubble about technology. Whereas if you go out in the field and understand how the end users actually use it, that tells us a lot about what will work and what won't work. So, at Hamachi Labs, we like to roll our sleeves up and get involved with the end users, very much working side by side with them. At the end of the day, we're all people. And to understand people is something very beautiful. The reason I myself am in my career is, as a design researcher for the last 16 or so years, my job has been to understand people in all their weird, quirky, wonderful, unexpected ways. and then translate that into something technologists can make tech decisions about. When you actually do field work, it's incredible, it's beautiful, and it's hard work, but that's part of the fun. A short video about Ammachi Labs, if I may.
Hamachi Lab is the most creative way of empowering women. Of all of the projects which the UN funds around the world, this is the one dearest to our heart. It's the one we're most proud of, and it's the one that we intend to take to the rest of the world so that they can learn from what you have achieved.
The one critical way to survive in a changing environment is to make sure that you have the skills to survive in a changing environment. So we need to continuously either update our skill or acquire new skills to survive in this kind of an environment. Our research and development lab is called Ammachi Labs, with our multimodal applications and computer-human interaction labs. We are a multidisciplinary group of about 85 people. We have engineers of every shade and color. We have artists, we have artisans, we have videographers, we have psychologists, we have anthropologists, all working together with one focus is skill development. Our engineers don't just sit in air-conditioned offices. They spend their time in villages along with our end users to really understand their issues from a place of empathy and of connection. Villages are the soul of India. We teach women to build and maintain their own toilets. After they master these construction skills, they can earn a living from it by building toilets for others in the village. It's a win-win solution. It's a community-led total sanitation approach.
So, in many villages in India, there may be TVs, but no toilets. In fact, over 500 million people in India practice open defecation. This is more than the rest of the world combined. You can imagine the various problems with this. Firstly, there's different types of sickness and illness that come from it. Cholera, typhoid, other preventable diseases. It can cause malnutrition. It can cause cognitive impairment. But it is also an issue for sexual safety for women. Many women will typically go either at dawn or after dusk, walking quite long distances for their chosen spot. But at those times of the day, they're more open to attack. They're much more vulnerable. And in many villages in India, this is a tangible problem. Sexual safety is an unfortunate risk because of open defecation. India recently set a national goal to end it by 2019, and at the same time, Ammachi Labs, as part of Amrita University, has spun up the Women's Empowerment Sanitation Project. One of the main things which I'm going to talk about here is the toilet building course itself. So, teaching women to build their own toilets has multiple benefits. Firstly, they get toilets, and that solves the problems we listed earlier. But having toilet building skills is of value to them, as well as the general masonry skills you get. It enables them to earn money for building toilets for others. It improves the health for their family, it improves the safety for women, and it gives confidence, status, and power, and experience. We often find that when the women are earning money for themselves, some other domestic challenges tend to dry up, for example. The main point I want to impress on you today is that the bottom line is very important. Empowering women is proven to have multiple positive outcomes, not just for the women or their families, but for the community as a whole. Short and long-term positive outcomes. Both the amelioration of the immediate problem of, say, not having a toilet, but also children tend to stay in school longer when women are empowered. That itself is benefit for the kids, but also benefit for the village, and in turn, benefit for India. Please think very hard about what you can do for empowering women. It is a very intelligent, strategic, practical thing which you can be doing using your good-heartedness and your technical expertise to work on. So, this particular project that we were doing around toilet building happened in a few different ways. Part of the knack of what Ammachi Labs brings is combining training with technological resources with hands-on experience. So women would actually build their own toilets and learn how to maintain them. And by the way, knowing how to maintain items in your household also gives a sense of self-efficacy. The sense that, yeah, I can do it. I can look after myself. I can look after my family. With these positive psychological outcomes, do you think it just stays with the woman? No, it trickles down to the kids. It empowers them, and it helps their family grow psychologically. It helps them grow in spirit as well as purely materially. We use a blend of instructional videos as well as online, computer-based, tablet-based games. So hands up who is working in some aspect of software or interface design. Anyone here? Yeah, good. Like 2 people here. What do the rest of you do then if you don't work with software? Okay. How do you create an interface for people who can't read? How do you have a user interface for low literacy users? It's a non-trivial challenge. The use of text, the use of video, the use of sound, all has to be balanced very carefully. It's a good example of how just throwing technology at a situation can often fall flat. Who here then has heard of the one laptop per child project? Has anyone heard of one laptop per child? Are you a shy crowd? Wait, are you like a shy crowd? In my first semester teaching it, Amrita down there last semester, I got my class talking back to me. One of the students when I was saying, look, you guys have got to ask questions. One of the chaps comes up and very innocently asks, did you really mean it, sir? We have to ask questions during class? And I said, yes. I set my grading policy so that if you didn't ask questions, you weren't going to be able to pass the class. Anyway, one of the interesting challenges for us is how to make an interface which works well and is fun for low literacy users. Now, to do that, one of the slightly unusual things we do is we look at cutting-edge computer games to see how they communicate and if they're usable by these types of people. What we're seeing here in this short video is 2 women from Himachal playing a game called Journey, which was the 2012 Game of the Year, and is an extremely beautiful, interesting game. There's no shooting, there's no killing. It's all this journey through this landscape to reach the top of a mountain where this beautiful light shines and calls you up. So we found that the women really loved it. They said it's more interesting than TV soap operas, which is high praise. One of the interesting things about academic research, as opposed to industry research, is worth mentioning. In academic research, we have to come up with ideas as much or more than just coming up with projects or products. It's great for you guys who are drawn to master's or PhD level research. It's great to spend some time in industry and some time in academia, because the balance of the two really helps each other. Academic work is really coming up with ideas. Industry work is really coming up with products. You have to do a bit of both either way. And so if you have those experiences, it can very much enrich your ability as a practitioner in your own field. So, a presentation in India is incomplete without a slide with numbers on it. Here's my slide with numbers on it. Suffice to say that it's a very small group, and as Arjun was saying before, in a sense we're in the minority. It needs a lot of people working on this. You can tell, and you know in your hearts, there is a lot of work to do. It is hard work, but it's very beautiful work, but it's also very doable work. And I'd be very hopeful that some of you will have some interest in joining us. The work to empower women in toilet building is just part of the stream of activities we've been doing. I'm very proud to say that a few years ago, Ammachi Labs was able to graduate India's first female plumbers. It may seem extraordinary that there would be such a thing as the first female plumbers, that's just not a normal thing, but I'm told it really isn't. Again, helping women, empowering women in even very concrete things has very good knock-on effects for the family and for the community and thus the country as a whole. And not just the country as a whole, the world needs India. It trickles up to the entire world. So working at the grassroots level in India is very significant. Just to round out a point I was making earlier, yeah, there's a cutting edge of technology. You could go work in some R&D lab in Silicon Valley or in Seattle. Lots of interesting things happening there. But believe me, there's another cutting edge of innovation that happens in the rural villages of India. For those of you who've got the guts to engage with it, you will find your innovations are extremely powerful. You don't need to go to a first world place to be highly innovative. Believe me, you don't. If you work sensibly, diligently, creatively, in the very intensely constrained problems which a rural village provides, it will spur innovations which will blow your socks off. Things you'll be really proud of. Please don't think that for an interesting high-flying career you need to ship out to the West. Absolutely not. Sure, go there, get some good experience, come back, turn it towards women's empowerment, for example. You'll find yourself amply rewarded. Amply rewarded. Okay, so, just wrapping up. Let's end open defecation by 2019. People are going to thank you. If you'd like to find out more, please reach out to any of us at Hamachi Labs, info@hamachilabs.org. Come visit. There's internships, there's NTech and PhD programs, and other ways that we can collaborate. You're already at Amrita. Come make use of this resource. Come get some fuel for your inspiration. Or if you're willing, come contribute something too. Very good. Thank you very much for letting me address you. It's been my real pleasure.